Welcome to the Astro Psyche. This is your weekly astrology forecast for December 11th through the 17th. And this week we have some important things that are happening, as always, right? We have a new moon in Sagittarius, and Mercury will be stationing retrograde. So it'll be beginning its retrograde process in Capricorn, moving back into Sagittarius. And then Neptune is also very integrated into each of these events, the new moon and Mercury retrograde. My name is Shauna McGrath. I'm a psychotherapist and astrologer, and I am so excited to share and talk about the astrology of this week with you so that you can make the most of it. So let's talk about what's happening. So we have our new moon very early in the week. This new moon is happening at 20 degrees of Sagittarius on Tuesday, December 12th at 3:31 p.m. Pacific time. And so, of course, this means that we are essentially in the waxing phase of the lunar cycle, the growth phase from Tuesday forward. And the moon will be moving through Sagittarius, Capricorn, and then Aquarius. And what's important, especially with this new moon, okay, so yeah, let me back up. Okay, so new moon is always this time of new beginning, initiating something, and we can think of intentionally doing this, and we can also just kind of have this sense that newness is beginning, regardless of whether we engage with that or not. So we can set intentions, we can begin new things, especially in the coming weeks. And this is kind of the energy that we're in. So we can also simply notice where new growth is already being anticipated this week and next week. And we can really dial that into our life even more by looking at where we have Sagittarius connected in our birth chart. So we all have Sagittarius somewhere in our chart because it rules a house, whether or not we have planets there. And so we can look at, like what house is Sagittarius ruling in our birth chart? What house, what symbolism is identified with that house? And where is there potentially a newness or a new beginning, or kind of just even like, what is my relationship to that area of life? How are things going? What do I like? What do I not like? What's working? What's not working? And then that can help us to tune in to this flow, this phase of the energy, this growth part of the phase of the entire lunar cycle. All of that being said, also, Sagittarius is a sign that's ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet that is about expansion and growth, being inclusive, being aware of diversity, being aware of social justice, wanting to learn and understand all of the different points of view, especially from a wider and broader perspective, a more philosophical worldview. And Sagittarius is also a mutable sign. So the mutable signs are also sometimes called the double-bodied signs, in that they're about holding paradox. They're about doing this as well as that. And they're about a lot of active movement and change and transition and sort of going from one thing to the next thing very quickly. And Sagittarius is also a fire sign. And so fire being about passion, desire, initiative. So this, all of these factors together, right? The Jupiter ruling Sagittarius, it being a fire sign, it being a mutable sign. There's a lot of active keywords here, right? The other piece of this moon is that it is connecting in with Mars and Neptune. And this is because Mars is also in Sagittarius. Now it's a little farther away. It's at about 13 degrees of Sag, while this new moon is at about 20 degrees of Sagittarius. So it's a little farther away, but still Mars is there. And Mars is a symbol of action, being direct, being courageous, wanting to move forward in a way that is direct or confrontational, and we need this energy, right? Like it's direct and confrontational, and sometimes that's appropriate. Sometimes that can be challenging. Again, sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't like it. Mars is about our physical energy and that part of us that wants to fight for something, that wants to stand up towards something. And so this kind of also like infuses this new moon with some energy and some passion. Of course, Mars is also correlated to agitation and anger and angstiness. It has a very adolescent kind of feel to me. And so that is also infused with this time. I will say that typically the day before and the day of the new moon, our energy tends to be a bit lower. Just at a practical level, most folks tend to feel more introverted and to want to just kind of be a little more chill. And so I would also honor this as much as you can, because this is a more introverted time. And then in the weeks coming, there's more of an extroverted kind of energy. That being said, yeah, Mars is here. So we're going to kind of see how we feel. Now, this new moon is also making a square to Neptune. Neptune is very different than Mars. Neptune is about like being in the flow of things and having faith in the process, because we don't always know what the Neptune is like. We know the next step maybe because we're feeling into it, but we don't know 5 or 10 steps ahead. Neptune really asks us to be in the now and asks us to get comfortable with not knowing, with ambiguity. And Neptune also reminds us that sometimes we even think that we know, but maybe it's like there's something that's missing also. And so these are kind of conflicting energies, right? So life is complicated, and the astrology reflects this. So there's kind of this like expansive, open desire to be in the world kind of energy with Sagittarius and with Mars, but then Neptune sort of softens this equation or makes things maybe where we feel a bit of uncertainty. And I think that uncertainty, if we can be with it, and I say this to you as well as to myself, if we can be with it and notice what we're feeling and what we're intuiting, that actually helps to make the process easier versus simply moving forward because we should, or because we feel like a either an externalized or an internalized pressure to act. I think that's a big part of this new moon and this monthly lunar cycle is that we could use for Mars Neptune is intuitive action. So I don't know if you feel this, but for me, I'll notice sometimes there's something that I need to do, and I don't feel the call to do it. And, of course, like sometimes we have to do things, but if it's something that I can put off, um, sometimes I'll allow the time and space to feel inspired to do the thing. And then I usually end up feeling better in that process because there was something organically in the timing that needed to happen. Okay, so that's the new moon. So that's kind of the feeling. I hope that you're getting a sense for that. So there's these themes around really working with our passion and our excitement and our intuition, and then also holding space for not knowing. And then again, of course, you know that I'm really into dialing this into our birth chart if we can, because that gives us more personal information. Okay, so also this week we have Mercury stationing retrograde. So Mercury will be retrograde from Tuesday the 12th. So same day as this new moon, which is really interesting, right? So Mercury stations retrograde Tuesday the 12th at 8 degrees of Capricorn. And then it will be retrograde until Monday, the 1st of January. And Monday, the 1st of January, it will station direct. So that means the retrograde will end at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. And so Mercury's path of this retrograde is is like a pretty big chunk of Capricorn back into the late degrees of Sagittarius. And so again, like the moon, this is going to be more personal. Like folks who Mercury's path is keying more into their birth chart, you're going to feel this at a more personal level. So this means, especially for folks who have personal planets or points, being the ascendant, the midheaven, the moon, the sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars. If you have any of those planets or points at, I would say, like at mid to late Capricorn, or even, no, I want to say like mid to late cardinal signs. So Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, or if you have any of those personal points planets at late degrees of mutable signs. So this would be Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, Pisces. That may be like way too much information. You're like, Shauna, what the fuck are you talking about? If so, don't worry about it. But if you want to like look more closely. So what does Mercury retrograde mean? What does this Mercury retrograde mean? So Mercury as a planet is a symbol of our logical mind, our thought process, our ability to communicate a message, our ability to think symbolically, our ability to divine, to work with omens or synchronicity or any other metaphysical symbolic communication system like astrology or tarot or the I Ching or a pendulum, any kind of, and dreams. Mercury is also a symbol of dreams and dreaming. And so, and it's also at a practical level, at a more mundane level, it's a symbol of business dealings and marketing and contracts. And because this is all like the commerce is the exchange of something, and Mercury has this this symbolism very deeply embedded in it that is about transferring one thing to another, going from one place to another, or bringing something from one place to another. Mercury is a symbol of the psychopomp, the figure that guides souls after death to the other world. And so when so Mercury is retrograde for about 3 weeks or so, about 3 times a year, 3 or 4 times a year, depending. And so when Mercury is retrograde, all that that means is that from our perspective, it looks like Mercury pauses in the sky and then looks like it goes backwards over time instead of going forward through its path along the belt of the zodiac. And so we make meaning of this. And the meaning is, among other things, that we're rethinking, we're reviewing, we're using our analytical mind to look back into the past and to reflect on things. I think at a practical level, this is also a great opportunity to restructure or reword or essentially give attention and care to something that maybe we haven't had the time or the energy to do so. And so I think it's a fantastic time for reflecting on your life, especially because we're wrapping up the end of the calendar year. And this is a time where it's very natural to reflect on how 2023 has been and what we want to envision for our time going forward. And yeah, if there's anything that you're like, that you feel like, oh, like I want to get to that, like this is a good time for that. Of course, in astrology circles, we also like to say that Mercury retrograde is not a great time for starting something brand new. So that means like, purchasing, making major purchases, signing contracts or making a long-term commitment of any time. That being said, I will tell you, I have done all of those things during a Mercury retrograde period because sometimes you have to do what you have to do. And um, it simply means that you take the Mercury retrograde symbolism into consideration as you're doing these things. So, yeah, if we can avoid it, it's better to focus more on revising versus starting something new. But sometimes, it is what it is. And I think that we can think of Mercury retrograde as more of an emphasizing how we communicate and what we think about things versus this strict rule of do or don't do this. Um, okay, so the other thing that I wanted to share with you about this Mercury retrograde process in particular um, is that it's really connected in with with Mars. Like there's a very long period of time over the next couple of weeks where Mercury will be with Mars once it moves back into Sagittarius. And so let me give you those dates just so that you kind of have a sense if you're into that kind of thing. Um, so Mercury will move back into Sagittarius on December 22nd. So it stations retrograde on the 12th of December, moves back into Sagittarius on the 22nd of December, which is the same day that that Mercury and the Sun will conjunct. So we'll talk more about that week. Um, and then yeah, it stations in Sagittarius. It stations direct on the 1st of January. So for the whole time that Mercury is in Sagittarius, it's very close to Mars. And so um, typically this is a quick transit, but it's really concentrated where Mercury and Mars are together. And when I look at this, I think about Mercury being about communication and thinking, and then Mars being about this sense of directness, decisiveness, and like wanting to be very clear and like there can be a sense of argumentation when we think of Mercury Mars. And I think that this, of course, can be challenging, but it can also be used very effectively if we are staying present in our emotions and also having a sense for, okay, what is it that I want to get out of this interaction? And how can I be as as kind, authentic, and productive as possible. I think that's kind of like the key to this Mercury retrograde period is being kind, being authentic, and then also being productive. Like what do I want to get out of this interaction, and how can I be in a way that is in alignment with myself, but then also allows for a productive um, way of talking, versus, the construed or challenging side of Mercury Mars is getting taken over by anger or frustration or um, feeling, if there's guilt or shame there, feeling like we need to blame someone else and that kind of thing. So I think the more that we can sort of anchor into our intentions in the way that we communicate. And again, I'm saying this to you as well as to myself. I think that's going to help us with this Mercury retrograde process. Okay, so yeah, the other piece of this is that this week the Sun in Sagittarius will make a square to Neptune in Pisces, and so we talked about that a little bit. That's going to factor in here. And especially with the Mercury retrograde, when it moves into Sagittarius, it will be making a square to Neptune. And so I think that Neptune brings in kind of a sense of softness and a sense of not knowing sometimes this week. And so I think it helps us to also really have downtime and space to process what it is that we're feeling. Neptune loves when we have open space and time to be in the flow, to connect to our own energy and how we're actually feeling. For those of us that are highly sensitive or empathic, we know that these are helpful states for us to like cleanse our energy, reconnect to what we're feeling, and to sort of like slow things down and open up the space so that we can become more clear, and that is actually productive, and that the not doing can help us to do more, because we have more of a sense of connection and integrity. All right. So that's what's happening this week. I'm going to pull some tarot cards for us to bring a sharper point onto things. And I will share with you also, while I'm shuffling, that our next lunations are, we have a full moon happening at 4 degrees of Cancer on Tuesday, December 26th. That's exact at 4:33 p.m. Pacific time. And then our next new moon is at 20 degrees of Capricorn on Thursday, January 11th. And that's exact at 3:57 a.m. Pacific time. So yeah, we're like in the Sagittarius season. And then we have our solstice and move into the Cancer Capricorn lunar situation. Okay. So I'm going to pull 3 cards as usual. And if you're able, you can find some stillness or a sense of relaxation. You can close your eyes, focus on your physical body, focus on your breathing, like really be with the breath. Relax your body, bring your focus into your heart. And just holding that very softly. If there's any question or situation that you want more clarity on, allow that to come forward. Okay. Oh, so some really interesting cards as usual, right? Okay, so first card is the 10 of Cups. And so in this card, the imagery is very simple. It's a figure that has on a pink dress, and they have these really cute white sandals. And then above them is a rainbow, and there's 10 cups within the rainbow. In one of the tarot systems that I use, this card is connected with Mars in Pisces. And the key word for this card is perfected success in this system. So, wow, yeah, like what a beautiful card. The 10 of Cups is about a culminate, like, yeah, perfected success. That's such a perfect word. It's about a culmination of our dreams and hopes, and it does have these correlations to success and abundance, um, and even I would say like a sense of community or family or homecoming, like things really coming together. And what else do I want to say about this? Yeah, like there's this strong theme around the things that you want, the things that you desire, the things that like maybe even you want, but they sound so good that you're like afraid to even like say them out loud or to even like really talk about them a whole lot. It's like that kind of stuff, like the ideal, the dream. So this is like, if I'm taking this as the first card, this is like the topic. This is what we're talking about. So I'm going to come back to that. Second card is the Tower. And so this card, the figure is dressed in sort of this like really beautiful violet jacket, and the jacket has like what do you call it? lightning bolts on it, and they're wearing these gray long boots, and their face is sort of covered. So the tower, of course, is about upheaval, unexpected change, like total like restructuring of something that has been status quo for a very long time. And in this deck, this is associated with the planet Mars. So very interesting, right? We have Mars very present in here. Um, so I pulled this card reversed, and when I pull the Tower reversed, that usually tells me that there is a like hesitancy to change, or kind of like an avoidance or a pushing away of an inevitable change. There's something that we feel uncomfortable about changing. Now, I know that there can be a lot of fear around the Tower card when that comes up. That being said, and I think that's valid, right? Because change can be disruptive, it can be stressful, it can be like, geez, it's like it can be a lot, right? And when I see the Tower, it's also change that it's the kind of change that we've sort of to some extent already seen coming, and it's also the kind of change that is not senseless. It's change to a foundation that has been sort of needing shoring up anyways. It's like something that already needed to be revamped, and at this time things have gone so long that now it feels like an upheaval, because there has been so much that's been built upon the foundation that maybe, for whatever reason isn't safe or anymore, or isn't stable anymore. So we're going to go back to that in a moment. So I think it's very interesting. We have like the hopes and perfected success. And then there's something about that involves like a very radical change that we're maybe like, we're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. Okay. And then the last card, the third card, is the Judgment card. I pulled this reversed as well. And so the Judgment is really about authenticity. It's about being open, being vulnerable, and the fear of that, like the beauty of that, and then also that there may be something that we're like afraid of being like, yeah, this is me, and this is who I am, and this is what I'm about. Um, the fear of judgment. And when this card comes up, there's usually something in our truth. There's usually a truth that we have that is wanting to come out, but for whatever reason we haven't been able to do that. And that can be a conscious decision. It can also be something unconscious, that where maybe there is something that we're doing that uh, that covers our authentic way of being, or covers a truth that we're feeling, and we may not even be aware of that. I think that's also a way of conceptualizing this card being reversed, is that there might be something, a way of being. Like, this is a major arcana card, and so it's very globalized in our life. Like, there may be a way of being that we don't even realize, where we are keeping ourselves um, small, or hidden away, where like this card is telling me it's time to be who you are in the way that works for you. And so, of course, that's going to look different for everyone, and everyone's circumstances are different. So when I'm looking at these as a whole, there's this this wanting, this dream, this desire, this culmination. Like, the 10 of cups for me is such an encouraging card, that there's something here around your wishes, your hopes, your dreams, and the path forward is going to involve some change. Um and only you know what that means for you, what needs to happen. This could be something external, it could be something internal as well. I think the tower can be an internal moment also. And that when we have that change, that actually frees us, that creates more freedom to feel more at ease in who it is that we are. So it may not be like, something externalized. It may simply be a feeling that you feel where you feel um, more of a sense of ease in yourself and a way of being that feels more authentic, and that is connecting you to that feeling of success, and that feeling that like, yes, you're that person under the rainbow. All right. So I hope that you found this helpful and that you enjoyed this. A couple of upcoming events that I wanted to share with you is, let's see. I will be speaking in person in San Diego as a part of the San Diego Astrological Society's 2024 forecast. Um, so I would love to see you there if you are in the area. I'll have a link to all of these events that I'm talking about. So I'll be speaking on Mercury retrogrades and Pluto in Capricorn Aquarius in 2024. Um, and then we're going to have some other really fabulous speakers talking about the rest of the forecast for next year, including planetary alignments and eclipses and all of that good stuff. And the following week, I am hosting an online 2024 forecast and astro-planning workshop. And so in that workshop that will be online, it's Tuesday, January 16th at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. And so we'll talk about the major outer planetary aspects, eclipses, the Mercury retrogrades, and we'll really talk about how to work with this energy, and then even how to conceptualize this in connection to your birth chart as well. So I'm really excited to share that with you. I hope that you can join me. And then also, I am beginning a astrological therapy group. And so this will be online, also Tuesdays at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. It'll be about an hour and a half, and this will be a weekly depth psychotherapy group where we will uh, touch base every week on current astrological happenings and what that brings us up for us collectively and just as individuals. And then we'll have space to process that in a therapeutic fashion within the group. And so really excited to offer this. And it'll be a small group, 7 to 9 participants. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would absolutely love to hear from you. I'm accepting applications for this group now. And then once we have enough participants, we will begin the group. All right. As always, if you enjoy these weekly forecasts, I always love hearing from you. And I really appreciate those of you who have left a rating or a review wherever you listen to the podcast, because that also helps it to become more visible for folks who are interested in astrology. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm wishing you a wonderful week. Take good care, and I will see you soon. Bye.